welcome back to Paranormal NL Podcast. That's PNL Podcast for short. I'm your host and founder, Jen Noseworthy. This is a pre-recorded show broadcasting on UPRN, that's United Public Radio Network, on 107.7 FM New Orleans and USA, and 105.3 Gulf Coast USA. Listen to Paranormal NL Podcast on UPRN on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern Central Time and Standard Time, excuse me. Follow UPRN at uprntalkradio.com and all their socials. Paranormal NL Podcast believes in promoting paranormal networking and paranormal tourism all over the world. PNL Podcast is sponsored by the BOG team. That's right, a boots-on-the-ground paranormal investigation team in Newfoundland, Canada. Contact me, your host, Jen, at paranormal.nl.podcast@gmail.com or follow PNL Podcast at Linktree Paranormal NL Podcast. Now, let's get on with the show with me. I'm going to bring on the stage a few guests all the way from Texas. We've got Jeannie Van Hoose, and she's joining us from Fort Worth. Hey, Jenny. And we've got Adam. Hey, Adam, and he's joining us from San Antonio.
Yeah.
Welcome, y'all. How you doing?
Thank you. Yeehaw! Go Texas.
Y'all are making me homesick. Oh, I used to live down in deep South Texas in the Rio Grande Valley for about 23 years. So let's start with you, Jenny. Tell us about you. And I know you're with the Parahunters Paranormal team
Yes.
down in Fort Worth. And tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Okay, well, I want to welcome your audience and thank you so much for tuning in. Jen is fabulous and we love her. And she has an awesome show, so stay tuned because she has the best guest ever in the paranormal world. And so a shout out to our girl, Jen. Thank you so much. I am Jeannie, and I am from Texarkana, Texas, but I'm currently living in Fort Worth, Texas, around the Bedford area. I do a lot of investigations with my team, the Parahunters, and we're based out of Denton, Texas. So we do a lot of investigating, and our leader is Teal Gray, and she's a fabulous author. And check out her books. And we have some other authors who are members of our team that are who have written wonderful books about the paranormal as well. So please check out our page and visit us to find out more information about us. I am a former
to Teal Gray, and I've got to give a shout out to Mark Fultz, and I've also got to give a shout out to a lot of other folks that we've had on. We're going to be having soon Tu Snyder coming on. And we also had our lovely lady on talking about dolls. And Jamie was on, yes. And we're going to introduce Adam shortly, and we're going to get into several different topics, one of them being the Jefferson Hotel and some attacks, I believe, that happened there. Adam, do you want to introduce yourself? Welcome.
Hello. Yes. Well, I am from San Antonio. I've been into this weird stuff since I was about 12.
And you're with Southern Fried Spirits, a paranormal?
Right. Yes, I am. And most of us are based out of North Texas.
And you've been on our show also in season 2.
Yes.
So you got to tune in and listen to that episode also. So tell us more about Southern Fried. Making me hungry over here.
I know, it makes me hungry all the time. I guess that we eat a lot during. But yeah. Anyway, no, we travel around Texas and some other places nearby, Oklahoma and Louisiana, and just try different places that we've never been to in the past. We're always looking for different places to investigate. Some of those places that hardly anybody ever goes to that we'd like to venture to investigate. So
yeah, I do believe you and Jenny are going to be possibly teaming up. Maybe, you never know, you might see Adam and Southern Fried hanging out with Parahunters Paranormal. So let's get into it. Jenny, do you want to start a little bit more? I think I cut you off earlier because I wanted to give shout outs earlier to your team, but tell me a little bit more about what you were talking about with your team in San Antonio and also in Fort Worth and Denton.
Well, my favorite place to investigate is Jefferson, Texas. And my favorite place to investigate is the Jefferson Hotel, that is owned by Pam and Jeremy Jones. And they're very good friends of mine. And there's a picture of me at the Jefferson Hotel. It is one of the most active hotels I have ever visited. And I have been in many places and investigated many places, but this one is my top number one.
Can you tell me a little bit about maybe the outside of it or the vibe that you get when you go in there?
Oh, it is the most unique hotel you will ever see. Jeremy Jones is like a creative genius, and he's also into the paranormal. He and Pam, that's the neat thing about them owning this hotel, because they're also paranormal investigators, and they wanted to buy a haunted hotel, and that's exactly what they did. And so it is decorated with the most unique items that you can imagine. Jeremy finds these places all over the world. And so when you approach the hotel, it is just decorated with so many different things. But the inside is the coup de grace of all kinds of unusual, unique items that he has collected. And as you can see in the picture that you're showing, that's the downstairs, and it is just a museum of all kinds of things. So you can imagine some of the energy and some of the paranormal that has been added to the hotel, not just what was already there, but has been added with many of the artifacts that Jeremy has put in the hotel.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's what I was going to mention or ask you. I'm sure some of these objects may be haunted. I know you'd mentioned something about some attacks that were there. You want to show us who we're looking at here? Is this your other half?
Yes, that's my better half. Dale would be, and I introduced the Jefferson Hotel to him. He had never been before. And so we go one weekend so that he can meet Pam and Jeremy and all my other friends there in Jefferson. And we stayed at the hotel, and we stayed in one of the most haunted rooms and probably the least rented room, called the doll room, because there are hundreds of dolls in this room, and many of them.
Jamie loved that room. Did she go with you?
She did. And many of these dolls are vessels for spirits. And so that means the dolls are haunted. And many of them will talk to you. And we speak to many of them through what is known as a spirit box. And I'm sure many of your audience members who are into the paranormal understand what I'm talking about with the spirit box. And so they have communicated with us that way. Another way they've communicated with us is through the flashlight. They will touch the flashlight and they will answer our questions by turning the flashlight on and on, which is awesome. That's my favorite way, or favorite instrument. But what happened is I took Dale, and I didn't know that Dale was going to do this, but I told him about a spirit that I had come in contact with at the Jefferson Hotel probably about 5 or 6 years ago. And his name is Nick. Now, the Jefferson Hotel, if you'll do the history of it, it used to be a factory.
Okay.
And Nick worked in that factory. He was 25 years old, and I've gotten all this information from him through my investigations. And so he was 25 years old, and he came in contact with many children back during the time that children worked before the child labor laws. And they used children in these factories because they had small hands, and they could get their hands through the machinery in order to fix machinery that adults couldn't get their hands into. Right. And so, and that's why the children were there. Well, come to find out that we found out that Nick was not a very nice man to children, and he did unspeakable things.
Well, that's not good.
And so, and I, being a school teacher, I I found out about this, and I told Nick, I said, Nick, I'm a school teacher by profession, and my job is to protect children. So what you're doing is wrong, and you need to stop. Well, he took that as me challenging him, and he knows when I'm at the hotel. He finds me. He does not like me because I have brought much attention to him as a spirit, and what he did before he became a spirit, what he did in his everyday life, and he's angry that I have exposed him.
Okay.
And so he likes to call me ugly names. And I won't say it on the program, but you can imagine. And so I told Dale about this spirit named Nick, and how he didn't like me. And every time I went to the Jefferson Hotel and he finds me and I'm investigating, he always comes through and he likes to call me the B name a lot.
Okay.
And so I told Dale about him, and I said, and you're not going to believe this, but the room he likes to stay in the most is the doll room, which is the room where Dale and I were staying. And I said, he's going to show up in this room because he finds me every time. And I am an empath, a sensitive, and a healer, and I can feel things. I don't always see things. I have had spirits manifest in front of me, but not very often. But there are other ways that they let me know they're nearby.
Right.
I can feel them. They touch me. I get this heaviness. Your body is like an instrument. Your body has reactions that let you know that things are happening. And
that sixth sense kicking in.
It is. And I've had it since I was a child. That's when I had my first experience as a small child. And I'll explain that later. So we go in the room and I tell Dale, I said, oh, and by the way, he's in here now. And Dale decided that he was going to challenge him and provoke him.
Okay.
And he said, and I didn't know he was going to do this. And then he started, he says, all right, Nick, you think you're a bad guy? You want to pick on women and little children? Well, I'm a man. Why don't you pick on me? Come on and take me on. Quit being a coward and hiding off. And he says, come on out, manifest, show yourself. And I'm beside myself at this point. And I'm saying, Dale, you have got to stop now. Please do not do this. I said, you never provoke spirits. I said, especially ones that were not good people when they were living, and they're not good people in spirit. And I said, you don't want to do this. I said, number one, you can't see him, and he's going to probably come after you later. And I was right, and he did. So
what did he do?
In the middle of the night, we were asleep, and Dale suddenly woke up choking, just couldn't breathe. And he's coughing, he's gasping for air, and his heart is beating out of his chest, and he's trying to gasp for air. And I'm looking at him, and I say, are you okay? Are you okay? And he can't talk, and he's clutching his throat. And then he gets out of his bed, and he falls to the ground, clutching his throat, and he's trying to gasp air as much as he can. He can't catch his breath. Well, I get my phone and I'm getting ready to call 911 because my first thought is he's having a heart attack or a stroke. That's the first thought I have. I don't go paranormal first. I do that. That's my first thought.
Natural instinct, right? Yes.
Natural instinct. Yes. And I was about to call when suddenly in my head, there was Nick. Nick appeared. I get these thoughts in my mind, and there he was, and I could feel him next to me, and I knew it was him. And I said, Nick, let go of him. You need to stop. I said, he's done nothing. I apologize for him provoking you. Please stop. Leave him alone. And I guess he stopped because now Dale's able to breathe. And he's looking at me with these wide eyes. And I said, Dale, I said, that was Nick who attacked you. And I said, the reason he attacked you was because you provoked him. And I tried to tell you not to. And I said, this was the wrong thing for you to do. And I said, you need to just go ahead and apologize and talk to him and apologize. Well, Dale refused to do that. Dale, would not apologize. So I apologized for him. And so then he didn't bother him any of the time the rest of the night. So the next time we decided.
I had to ask, did he have any marks on his neck or bruises?
No, he did not, because it was hard because he was clutching his own neck. So I wouldn't have known if it was from Nick or him. Right. Because he had his hands up here, and that's usually what people do when they're choking. They'll put their hands up like this to indicate that they're choking. They can't breathe.
Universal sign. And now my next question is, did you use any cleansing before or after?
No, I'll tell you what I do. I don't always have sage with me. I don't usually burn it as often as I should. I do have a necklace that I wear that is of angel wings, because I'm protected by angels, and I'm protected by the bright light of Jesus and God. Right. And so I always say, and I tell everyone to do this, if you're ever afraid, say the Lord's Prayer.
Yes.
And so I said the Lord's Prayer out loud. And I said it several times. And I said, Nick, I said, we are both Christians. We are both surrounded by the white light of Jesus. You cannot touch us. You need to leave us alone.
And for folks listening, you can also tune into my episode with Teal Gray, and she delves into a lot of different protection techniques and her different books and things. And she's excellent with protections.
Right.
And Adam, do you want to comment on that? Like, what does your team do for protection? Or yourself personally?
I mean, most of the time we just have like the holy water and sage. Like, we really don't say a lot of prayers. It's mainly like the holy water, and like as a team, we never provoke, we're never disrespectful, we always say, thank you for your time, or
Right. I believe in that too. Respect is a big thing when you go into a house. But even though you do that, there's still bad spirit, and they're still, as in life, as in death. So if somebody's cranky and crooked in life, well, that spirit's probably going to be like that in death. Just like you had mentioned that other guy, Nick, right?
Absolutely. He will always be like that.
The mean ghost.
Yeah. He'll never change.
Right.
And so Dale was attacked the second time. And I think the reason why he was attacked the second time is because he refused to apologize.
Oh,
and so then we had another episode. What was different about this one is, and this is going to sound very unusual, but this is the way it happened. So we were staying in another room called the Speakeasy Room.
Okay.
And in the middle of the night, he started talking in his sleep, and he was talking loudly. I mean, and that's what woke me up. I thought he was talking to somebody, and it was almost like he was shouting. And he said, I told you. And I'm looking over at him, and I'm waiting, and he says, And I waited, and then he says, I love you. And then he started the choking again, and up he comes up out of his bed, up this with his hands on him, thrashing again, choking, drooling, spitting. I mean, it was absolutely horrible. And then off the bed, he falls onto the floor. And then he finally recovers because I start shouting, Nick, stop. You've got to stop. Stop. and he apparently listened to me. And Dale came back up and he's looking at me and he says, "Did he attack me again?" I said, "Yes, he did." And I said, "But I've got to tell you something else that you did." And he said, "What's that?" And I said, "You were talking loudly in your sleep." And he says, "What did I say?" And I said, "The first thing you said was, you know," and the second one, "I already told you." And then the third one, "I love you." And so I said, let's get the spirit box out and let's see if Nick will talk to us and tell us, um, why he attacked you a second time. So I get the spirit box out and I start and I said, "I'd like to know if Nick is in the room." And he said, "Nick." And I said, "Nick,"
Oh.
I said, "Did you attack Dale again?" "You know." I said, "I
Okay.
know. What do I know?" "I already told you." I said, "You already told me what?"
Right.
"I love you." He
Oh, okay.
said
So this spirit Nick likes you.
he likes me,
Love
but
hate.
it's a love-hate relationship. And
Okay, so Dale
it,
didn't like that much, I suppose.
no. And so, but what was so strange about it is that what Dale said in his sleep was exactly what Nick said on the voice recorder, the spirit box, the very same words, word for word.
All
It was
right,
the same thing.
that's a bit weird.
That was strange. That was I mean, we just kind of froze and we couldn't believe it. So then I wondered if Dale had been jumped, because spirits can jump you. They
Yes.
can get inside you and they
Yes.
can manipulate you.
Now I talked
And
about that on an episode with Cisco Murdoch. She talks about jumpers.
that's right. And
Mhm.
I think for a brief moment in time, I do believe that Nick did that to Dale. Because how else would you explain him saying exactly word for word, exactly what Dale said in his sleep, and then same thing on the recorder? I mean, that blew my mind. Of all the things that I've done as a paranormal investigator, I have to say that is the top of my list of things that happen.
Yes, that is a bit strange for, to come off and say the same thing like that.
Yes,
What do
that's
you
what.
think about that, Etta?
Well, man, that's pretty freaky. That's all I gotta say. And
Yes.
I, I mean, because at first I thought like Nick might have just been copying Dale just to like mock him, but how you mentioned now that he might have jumped inside of him, maybe trying to like, because I imagine, because like movie Ghost, how Patrick Swayze jumped in Whoopi Goldberg's body to be able to hold Demi Moore. I kind of wonder
That's a
if it
good
was
example. Yeah, that's a really good example, Adam.
like if it was like he wanted to uh hold you, Jenny, and like he was gonna try to use Dale to
Now,
hold you.
Jenny, this entity, Nick, does he go all over the Jefferson Hotel or is he only in one room?
Oh no, he's all over that whole hotel. We
Okay.
have done investigations in just about every room of the hotel, and everywhere we go, he shows up. You will
He's
hear him come out and say his name.
in every
And
room.
in
Okay.
every room, he is going to show up in every room. He is just that. He's like a bully, and
Yeah.
he's like in control. And we did another investigation after this in the doll room, and this time Dale was more seasoned and knew. I kind of trained him and told him what to do and what not to do. And Nick was talking to us through the ghost box, and he was responding to us through the flashlight. And he says that he is still mad at Dale, and I asked him, "Were you mad at him because he provoked you?" And he said yes. That he, and I asked if he was going to forgive him, and he said no.
So he doesn't live in any of the dolls. He just goes around the house.
He goes around. As far as I know, he doesn't live in any of the dolls, but he has the children, the ghost children there. He has them scared because in some of the recordings we've gotten, and we're talking to Nick, you will hear a child in the background begging for help, saying, "Please help me, help me." And it's just heart-wrenching to hear that. And so one of the little girls that was begging for help, I asked her what her name was, and she said her name was Sarah. Well, Sarah is one of the well-known ghost spirits there at the hotel.
Okay.
Yes, and her father used to work at the front desk of the hotel when it first became a hotel. And she would go there and play around in all the rooms while her daddy was working. And that's why she's there.
Yeah, the doll room is pretty spooky. They got stuff stuck on the ceiling and everything.
Oh, absolutely. It's unimaginable. You would have to go there to see it. It's just incredible, this room. And I try to get everybody to just go in there and spend a few hours in there. And they'll do that, but nobody wants to spend the night in there.
Room 14. I've got it pulled up under. Yeah.
That's it.
So nobody will sleep in room 14?
It's the least rented room. Most people that rent it are usually people like us, like Adam and the rest of us, because we're into the paranormal and we're drawn to that. We're interested in that. So that room is one of the favorites of people that are paranormal investigators.
Wow. Yeah, this doll that I got pulled up here. Can you see that, Adam? Look at the eyes on that thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up with dolls like, with the porcelain and well, not dolls like that. That's horrible looking, but even the one that everybody's afraid of. What's that famous doll now that looks like Little Orphan Annie?
Oh, are you talking about Annabelle?
Yeah, like I had a doll just like Annabelle when I was a little girl. Like to me, that's not scary. And even these kind of dolls, like with the porcelain and the eyes that shut and go up and down and stuff, I'm not really afraid of those. But you can't get those anymore, I don't think. Like, I mean, look at this one. Look, you could see all the paint and everything coming off of it. And it was interesting when Jamie was on. She discussed about the dolls, and I asked her, why do you think the spirits go in dolls? And she said, well, as dolls, they get to be hugged and loved, and spirits miss people. So they go into the dolls so they can be hugged and loved and talked to and, and get attention too.
Jen, if you could go back to the one right up above this one that you just,
okay, this one
right there. That doll has a child that is using her as a vessel, and it's because the doll belonged to the child that is inside this doll, and her name is Samantha.
Samantha.
And Samantha was a little girl that was the owner of this doll when she was a child, and she died from an illness. And I guess when she died, she decided to inhabit the doll. And this doll does talk to you. I went in there and I got a feeling about this doll. So I decided to talk to her. And I said, "Hi, sweetheart." I said, "I would love to talk to you if you'd like to speak to me." And I told her my name. And I said, "Can you please tell me your name?" And she said, "Samantha." And it was, it was clear as a bell. Samantha.
Wow.
Yeah. So Samantha, I go by and say hi to Samantha every time I'm at the Jefferson Hotel.
So she's a nice spirit. She's not a
scary one. She is a nice spirit. Yes.
Oh, okay. There's one on a horse. There's all kinds of different stuff in this hotel. I must say, there's so many things. What other room do you want me to click on? There's so many rooms. There's a
room 19.
Room 19?
Yes.
Okay. Room 118.
Were you
What's
going to
that?
say that, Adam?
Well, I was gonna say that the doll room is my favorite room. Every time I visit, I always try to get it. I've slept in there maybe 5 times already.
In the doll room? And
Yeah.
what did you get when you slept in the doll room? Anything?
Well, how it showed the bathroom picture, the tub.
Yes, I saw the tub.
So I was okay. That day we were there, and there was a lady there who was cleaning some of the rooms.
Right.
Right outside the door, right outside the room of the doll room, there's like a little storage unit for cleaning products and broom stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm taking a bath, and my feet are, I have my back against the curved part, my feet towards, water water comes out.
Right.
And you see the towel with towels hanging right there?
Yeah.
Well, that time I was taking a bath, there was no towel right there.
Okay.
And it's a, the towel rack. In its place was a doll.
Oh.
Not a long one, but like a small one. And it was like wedged in the towel rack.
Right.
And I'm taking a bath, washing up, and the door was closed to the room. And where the picture's taken from, like the person looks like the person is from the doorway, standing in the doorway to the room. So I'm taking a bath, and I hear like a thump. And I thought at first, like maybe the lady who's cleaning the rooms, like the broom hit the wall or the vacuum hit the wall or something, And I didn't think nothing of it at first until I turned around to look towards the door, and then I didn't see nothing, and so I turned around some more. Now I'm looking up like in the direction of like the towel rack,
Okay.
and the doll that was like wedged in the towel rack, like it looks like something grabbed it from its head, like tried to like pull it out from between the towel rack and the wall, and like swung it like to where like it bent it around the towel rack and hit the wall.
That is strange. So
Where it was
something
like
reached through the wall and turned it.
something must have been inside the something might have been standing right there behind me, and like I said, it like pulled it out and like slammed the head against
That's
the wall,
strange.
like because when I looked up, like it was like dangling forward, like its
Yeah.
arms were dangling forward, its head was dangling forward,
Yeah.
and like I said, it something like pulled it up and then like slammed it downwards to where like its head hit in between its legs.
Wowzers.
And
What do you think about that, Jenny?
Oh, I believe everything that anybody tells me that happens in the doll room, because those dolls are very active, and they will do things when you least expect it. It's like they're purposely trying to catch you off guard.
So
And yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like they totally caught you off guard, especially when you were, getting washed up and that, right, Adam?
Exactly. Like I said, I just washing up, taking my bath, and then like I said, just heard that big old thump and turned around, and that doll was yanked out. Like it was, like I said, it was still dangling over the towel rack, but it just like it's something like grabbed it by its head, pulled up.
Strange. That is strange.
And it was probably Nick. I'll bet you.
Room 19. You
Yeah.
wanted me to pull up room 19. This is what we're looking at here now. I'm just scrolling down through. I see a dress on the wall and a picture of somebody wearing a dress similar to that. There's that.
Right.
Yeah.
That is room 19. That is the most haunted room in the whole hotel, besides the doll room. I have had a lot of activity in this room as well. If you will look at the bed.
Okay, I'll go up and take another
find
look at
the bed.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of places that you visit, they always say that they've got the famous bride, the jilted bride.
Okay.
Well, this is the jilted bride, but it is authentic. It is the real deal. This is not made up. It's not a fable. It's not just some
Is
kind of
that
story.
her in the picture, the bride?
No, that is not her.
Okay.
But let me tell you the bed.
The bed.
Focus on the bed.
All right.
That is the actual bed that Lydia Grisby hanged herself. That is
What?
the actual bed.
Oh, wait a minute. Did she hang herself from the chandelier next to the bed?
No, she did it from the top of the bed.
Oh, there's the
And
top
so,
of the bed.
yes,
Oh.
that is the bed, and that is one of the most authentic pieces that they still have at the hotel from the time that it became a hotel. Now, this bed had once been in another room that was called the bride's room. It was a bridal suite, and it was one room that has now been made into 2 rooms. So she actually did the deed in the other room because that's
Oh,
where the bed was when it was a bridal suite.
right.
And now they have made that room into 2 rooms, and they moved the actual bed to room 19. That dress right there is the one I donated. And it is the same type of dress that she would have worn when she did this. It was 1923. And down at the bottom, there are a pair of shoes, and I don't see the shoes in there, but I donated a pair of shoes, bridal shoes, that were from the same year, and a corset. A
Okay.
corset that they would put on to make their waistline smaller.
Yes.
And there's a corset in there as well from the same year. I researched it and made sure that I've got everything from the same year that she was supposed to get married. And she was jilted. It was on the day of her wedding, and she received, and her parents owned the hotel, and she received a message. And the message was from her fiance, telling her not to come to the church, that he's calling it off. He doesn't want to get married.
Oh.
And this caused her to become very distraught. I'm sure very embarrassed. It was shameful. I think she dealt with it the only way she felt that she could. And so she is very active in this room. And
she appears to people in a dress, or?
Well, she has not appeared to me. No, but she will talk to you. She is in there, and she does cry. She is still upset about it. She even told us a story that she was with child.
Oh.
And we're thinking maybe that could have been the reason why he didn't want to show up, because she was with child, and that was probably what we would call an old-fashioned shotgun wedding.
Right. Yeah.
And he didn't want to really marry her. I think he was being forced to.
All right. Well, that's not good.
Yeah, and so we have gotten cries of a baby in there. We've gotten cries from her. She's still very bitter. She's still sad. I guess she died in that state, and she's going to stay in that state of mind.
Right.
She's just not happy. She's very, very sad.
Aw.
And so, but when you go and stay in this room, you are staying in the actual bed. And that's what I want your viewers to know. If they ever decide to go to the Jefferson Hotel in Jefferson, Texas, which I highly recommend that they do, be sure to visit room 19 and see the actual bed.
Okay. So, Adam, your favorite is up here, room 14, the doll's room. And then we've got, again, room 19, the haunted bride. And it sounds like the ghost Nick goes everywhere in all the rooms. Is there any other room you want me to go into and look around?
There was another room. It's called the Angel Room. And
Mm-hmm.
it's downstairs. Let me see if I can see it when you click on it. It's one bed. It's one bed.
Honeymoon. I'm looking. Yeah, keep
It's,
going. I'll find it.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So, I had been there. Oh, you see the room right there with the blue in it? That is the speakeasy room, and it's got a secret staircase that goes down under the floor.
You want me
That
to
will,
go?
yeah, see that? Right
Okay.
there. Yeah, that's a secret staircase under the floor, and you raise it up, and you can go downstairs that way from your room.
Oh my
And
God.
yeah, it's awesome. It is awesome. Well, that was one of the rooms where, and there it is. That's where Dale was attacked the second time, and that's
Oh,
called the speakeasy room.
okay. So
Okay,
that's where the ghost Nick attacked Dale in here.
in the second room. That's right.
This
It's,
room.
yeah, that room right there. And then of course you've got the big feature of that room is the staircase under the floor.
Is that
And go ahead.
okay? Yeah, yeah. I was looking at the table, see what was on the table. Looked like an old-fashioned gun or something.
Yeah, it is. It's an old fashioned gun. There is one of the rooms downstairs. I was going to tell you, I was staying in that room, and I had been down there. I had been to the Jefferson Hotel for a big investigation. And so we had investigated all night, and of course we called Nick out,
Oh,
and
no.
he got mad because, but this time it was a lot of different people in the room, and
Okay. And this is the angel room I'm looking for, is it?
yeah, the
Okay.
angel room. And so when the investigation was over, I went back to my room, and in the middle of the night, I could hear someone trying to put the room key in the door.
The
And
room key in the door?
yeah, and I thought somebody had gotten confused and thought they were, got their room confused and they were at the wrong room.
Right.
Well, they kept putting the key in there and jiggling it and making a lot of noise. Well, here's the odd thing. Every door is a stained glass window, has a stained glass window in every door. So you can see if there's someone outside the door, you can see their shadow.
Oh,
There
okay.
was no shadow. There was no shadow. And underneath the floor, you would see the shadow of feet. And there were no feet showing, like walking back and forth, no feet.
Huh.
But yet there was a key going in the key lock, jiggling around. So I waited to hopefully they would give up when they saw that they were in the wrong room. Well, no, they started with the door handle, and they were shaking that door handle, shake, 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 shake. And I'm laying there and I am just petrified. I'm thinking, if this person breaks into this room, I'm going to have 911 on speed dial. So I had 911 pulled up. I was ready to call it. And they were trying to break that door in, trying to break it down. And finally they gave up. And so I laid there and I was thanking God, thank you, God, whoever, whatever. But I never heard them walk away from the door or anything. The next day, I get up, I open up the door, and outside the door is an old-fashioned pencil sharpener right in front of the door. And being
Okay.
a school teacher,
Oh.
there was an old-fashioned pencil sharpener right there by the door. And I thought, what in the world? I thought somebody was playing a prank on me.
Right.
And so I go and tell Pam and Jeremy what happened. Well, they look at the camera. There is nothing, no one. I told them the
That is
time,
so weird. What do you
nothing
think,
showed
Adam?
up.
Isn't that weird?
Adam, don't you think that's odd that they can
Yeah.
be that forceful?
Mm-hmm. I believe it. I totally believe it.
Have you
I know.
ever had anything weird like that happen, Adam?
Not exactly. No, I know. Last time we were there about a month and a half ago, and we were in the attic,
In the
and
attic? Okay.
yes, and everybody was on this side of the attic, and the one lady, she went across to the other end,
Right.
and so the one person had a was it a thermo to see the temperature in the room. So anyways, the one lady was sitting there, and the one girl had the temperature gun, and she said that there was something cold next to her. And when the lady put her hand out to the side of her, she screamed like, "Ah!" We're like, "What?" It's like, "It's cold there," and we're like, "Really?" And I snapped off a few pictures, and one, there's nothing there next to her on the side of her, nothing. And then like the next picture, you see like something to like the right of her, like it looked like a white mist, almost like it was like if it was like going away from her.
Weird.
Yeah. And can I tell you what room that is? The room that Adam is referring to up in the attic, there is what is called the disappointment room. And Jeremy found this when he started exploring through the walls, and he went up in the attic and he started tapping on the walls, and he could hear a hollow sound. And so he tore the wall down, and there was a room back there.
Oh.
And back in the 1800s, they people who were fairly rich, mainly rich people, they would have what is called a disappointment room. And the disappointment room is a room where they hid away children with disabilities.
No.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my goodness.
And they would hide them away because they were ashamed of them. They didn't want their friends to see them with this child with a disability. And therefore, they would hide them away in a room, like in an attic or in a basement, and they would call it the disappointment room. And that's where the child would live and never come out.
So sad.
And so up there, Jeremy can only assume. Now we're not 100%. We don't have 100% proof, but the fact that it's in the attic, it's a single room, and it was walled up. We're assuming that it was a disappointment room where a child was placed in there.
Right. So yeah, you never know, right?
Right. And Jeremy has put a bed in there. And he has a lamp in there and lights up. Did you see that, Adam, when you went up there?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Like this must have been like 2 years ago. I bought some like little action figurines and like some toy cars, and like I said, a month and a half ago when we were there, we went up there and we all crammed ourselves into the room, the disappointments room, and like, hey, those are the toys I left there, 2 years ago. They're still here. So I thought that was pretty cool.
So you were the one that put the toys?
Yeah, I put a few. I know that there was 2, 3, or 4 pieces that I guess somebody else bought, but I know I bought like 2 figurines and like 2 little toy cars,
That's nice that you put that there for the kids. Yeah.
Right.
And did you get any hits on EMF or any spirit box or anything with the toys or Boo Bear or something? Is there one of those there?
No, not. I mean, I know like we went like this must have been like 2.5, 3 years ago. We were there and we had the spirit box going, and we felt like we felt like we had a little boy coming through.
Okay.
And we got the impression of him trying to talk to us, but at the same time, like we kept getting like, I can't talk. He's here with me. I'm not allowed to talk to y'all because he's watching me. He's here.
I wonder, is he Nick? Is that who he's talking about, Adam?
Well, we think it was an older gentleman that maybe he was referring to.
Mm-hmm.
And it was okay, let me go back. I've seen this talk about on TV shows, investigations where people talk about during an investigation, the air, the atmosphere gets heavy, gets negative.
Yes.
And I'm like, I never experienced that until that night,
Right.
and just me, but my whole team, my whole team.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just thinking about it, like my whole team, like we all felt beat up, we all felt negative, we all felt
Drained.
negative. We were down a staircase,
Okay.
and we had to leave. We had to go back downstairs, and we because we had like rented like 2, 3, 4 rooms separately. But that night, we all kind of like hunkered down in one room and slept in the same room. And
Because
one of
you
my
felt
team
the
members,
negative energy? Is that why you all kind of stayed in
right,
one room instead of all different rooms?
right, you know,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
one of my team members, it hit her the hardest, and I went over there and like, hey, are you okay? And she was tearing up, so I gave her a big hug and just hugged
Oh,
her for a few minutes, and
yeah.
I man, but
So your team
I
had a hard night that night by the sounds of it. This
yeah,
hotel is no joke, hey? The Jefferson Hotel.
It is fabulous. I'm telling you. And now that doesn't mean that you're going to have an experience every time you go. You just never know when they're going to ramp up. You might look like someone that they want to talk to. They like my hair,
They like
and
your hair?
they like my hair, and they like to, being from Texas, I have big hair, and they like to touch my hair. They like to pull it, and I can feel them I can feel their hand going down my hair. I can feel them stroking my hair. I turn around expecting to see somebody, and there's no one there. So I know that, but I don't know if it's a child that's doing it or it's adult. I have no idea,
Kind of
but they
spooky.
do touch you.
That's interesting. You know, a lot of people are non-believers, and I was one of those people until I had something weird like that happen, physical, then it gets real and you can't explain it, right? What do you
Right.
think,
And
Adam?
I for me personally have never been touched, poked, scratched, pushed, but I am always weary when it comes to staircases. Like
Staircases?
yes, I'm always holding onto a railing or just make sure I go down them slowly. Because you hear about people being pushed on staircases. And I'm like, I don't want that for me.
Yeah, nobody wants that. Definitely not. So everybody, I want you to follow. I'm going to take this one off stage here. So I want you to follow Jeannie Van Hoose and Adam Ramos, and tell us now where we can find both of y'all on your socials and stuff for your fans. Give a shout out to your fans and where they can find you.
I will be with the Parahunters in Denton, Texas. And please find us, follow us. You'll be able to get me there, and my team as well. Please shout out to Teal Gray, read her books, Mark and Tui and Martha and Jamie and Susan Hill. I mean, we've got so many talented people that are authors of books. Please check out their stuff. Their books are phenomenal, and they write about their experiences and paranormal experiences that they have had at different places.
I guess I'll pull up on Facebook too, some of the Para Hunters. And let me just take that one off stage. Adam, do you want to give a shout out to your folks?
Yeah, I'm a part of Southern Fright Spirits Paranormal, and Carla, Terry, Kara, Catherine, Tony. Man, just so many people out there that help make
Here's
this
the Southern
thing.
Fried Spirits, or some delicious cake that you guys did for one of your events. There's your logo, Southern Fried Spirits, on your and there you are with your team there. You want to give a shout out to your team members?
Sure. But yeah, like I said, there's Carla, there's Kara, there's Terry, there's Catherine. there's Jackie, there's Tony, Mindy.
Big,
I am the only male in the group.
okay, lots of estrogen in your group.
I do want to give a shout out to Dale too. Dale is now a believer because of what happened to him. I wanted to tell you that when you mentioned it earlier about a lot of people out there are skeptics and they don't believe this. Well, Dale was one of them. And
There's Dale
now,
right here, stood up next to Jenny, and there's Teal with her. This is at your Denton event, but
yes. And he is a firm believer now, and he is now part of our team. And he told me that it has changed his life because of the experience that happened to him. And that's what I want your viewers to know, that we are surrounded by spirits. They're everywhere. I even had a person tell me, well, I live in a brand new house. They can't be there. Oh, yes, they can.
You forgot to mention your their dog spirit.
Yes, I had a little dog named Hamlet, and he was a Schnauzer. And I had this little dog from birth and had him for 16 years. And I finally had to make the decision to put him down. He was like my child. He went with me everywhere, and I loved him. And but I had to cross that bridge and make the decision to put him down. So I asked the vet if she would please do it at my home, because I didn't want to take him to a place he hated. And he absolutely would shake to death every time I took him to the vet. So I asked the vet if she could come after work and bring the shot and let me put him down. There he is. Oh my gosh, that just makes me want to cry. She said, yes, I'll do that. She said, let me close the shop up. I'll come to your home. So I have a music room in my home, and I play the piano and I sing. And Hamlet always loved to go in that room and sit there and listen to me play the piano and sing. And so I thought, this is the place where I want to put him down. So I was holding him in my arms, and I was sitting in his favorite chair that he always sat, and when he was listening to me. And I sat down in a chair, held him, and she put the shot in, and he went peacefully to sleep in my arms.
Aww.
So shortly after that, a relative of mine felt sorry for me because I cried so much about it, and it was so traumatic losing him, that she got me a little Yorkie puppy. Well, I fell in love with him. I couldn't refuse him. He was so cute. And so one day he was barking he was looking at something in the music room, and he was barking his head off. And I said, Boudin, there's no one in the room. There's no one. And he looked back at me, and he just, and it's the little tiny Yorkie, and he thinks he's a pit bull, and he's just barking his head off. So
we're coming out, Jenny. We're coming out in 2 minutes out. So
okay. So I took a picture, and when I looked in the background of the picture, there was the picture that your viewers are looking at now. That is the ghost picture of my little Hamlet, the little Schnauzer that I loved so much.
Little sweetie. I'm going to go back now, Adam, to you with your folks. There they are. Now we can see y'all. And you said their names earlier. Southern Fried Spirits Paranormal. There y'all are.
That's us. Yep.
Yeah.
So,
some
deliciousness there. And
do you have a team? Do you have a team picture too of the parent hunters? Because we've got a team picture, but I don't know if you have it.
I don't know if I have it on this episode here, but I can always add it.
Okay.
Yep. I'll add that. So I want to thank everybody again for listening in. On UPRN. We are on UPRN. Let's give a station ID out again for 107.7 FM, New Orleans, USA, and 105.3 FM, Gulf Coast, USA, United Public Radio Network. And listen to Paranormal NL Podcast on UPRN on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and follow UPRN on uprntalkradio.com. And Paranormal NL Podcast is sponsored by the BOG team, a boots-on-ground paranormal investigation team in Newfoundland, Canada. Contact me, your host, Jen, at paranormal.nl.podcast@gmail.com, or follow on PNL Podcast on Linktree at Paranormal NL Podcast. Now, y'all want to give a quick shout out in 30 seconds or less to your fans?
Oh, thank you so much. I enjoyed this. And now I have a new friend, Adam. Yay!
That's right. We have to.
And Jen, thank you. Thank you so much for having us on the show. You are amazing.
Thank you. Us Texas folk got to stick together, right?
That's right.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks again, everybody, so much for being on the show today. Peace out.